I was
Yeah.
definitely on Team Gorilla, but I'm just trying to think like in my brain, wrap my brain around how met like 100 men would beat a gorilla.
Hello and welcome to the next episode of Cylinder Radio. I'm your host, Will Reusch, educator in Los Angeles, now teaching far and wide through my education platform, Paradox, where I bring critical thinking and viewpoint diversity to everything that's happening in schools because the schools are crazy. and uh, and my guest today is actually like one of my best friends. I've known him since middle school, and he was on episode I think 6 of this podcast talking about jujitsu coaching and things like that. He is a jujitsu black belt. He is the founder of Finishers, which is they kind of do everything. They do jiu-jitsu tournaments. He's coached some really high level people like Renee Souza and John Thor Blank and Grace Gundrum. If you haven't Googled Grace Gundrum and you're in the jiu-jitsu world, you're out of your mind. But a great friend of mine and an awesome guy and kind of a guy that we just call each other up randomly and we're just like talking about just like weird stuff all the time. And then we just like don't talk for a month and we talk and then we just like I pick up the phone. It's just like right away we're in the middle of a conversation. Um, was someone that I love dearly, and we were just talking about this silly thing about gorilla versus humans, and I was like, let's just jump on a podcast because this is a viewpoint diversity podcast. So I was thinking, let's just like get the different viewpoints, and I think we might disagree on this. So first of all, Zach, my man, great to have you here, and we have the same conversation on the phone. I was like, let's just do it for the public so they can see what we do.
Yeah, dude, thank you so much for having me on, man. Love you too, brother. And it was an epic intro. And also, yeah, number 6. I remember when you were starting out, like, yo, be on my podcast. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
You know, like how many episodes do you have now?
I don't know. I don't know. To like 180 maybe, but like the problem is I'm not real. I'm not diligent on posting regularly, which I should be. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I still wear
I
my
got you.
Finishers podcast shirt all the time. I don't even know if that's a thing.
Nice. Yeah, I got to get mine back going again too. So maybe we'll debate this again,
Yeah,
in six
consistency is
months.
key.
Yeah.
Um, so the background of this, you might know, but the background of this, I don't know where this started. It was like a tweet or something that got like 300 million shares or something along those lines. And it's just become this thing on the internet of who would win in a fight, a silverback gorilla or 100 men. So I don't know where you want to go with this, but I just think that this is interesting because it is a viewpoint diversity podcast. So it's like all different perspectives on this. And I think that we can kind of work out a lot of the nuance in this, even though I'm not a zoologist. You're a black belt in jiu-jitsu, so you know something about combat. You fought MMA and everything, so you know that kind of stuff. But I don't know. Where do you want to start? Do you want to pick your
Uh,
team and then go from there? What do you think?
yeah. I think it's like weird though. It is interesting how it blew up though, how all of a
Yeah,
sudden it just was like really just out there on the internet and everyone's
everywhere.
sharing it and commenting on it. UFC is talking about it, like the
Yeah.
news is put like how did that happen? It's kind of just the same thing. What was the other thing people were debating for a while was if a woman would be in the woods, would you want to be there with a stranger guy or a bear? Or have you heard that one? Where people
No.
have I'll pick it. Yeah, that was another one that what kind
No.
of went viral too.
This was like on
Um,
par with like that dress. Remember the dress like 10 years ago? Was it blue
yeah,
and black or white and gold? It was like, I
yeah.
mean, it's like high
Everyone's like,
level. So
I don't know. Yeah, people are just all fired
yeah.
up about it. Yeah, I started once we talked about it, I started having more thoughts about it, and I was
Yeah.
definitely on Team Gorilla, but I'm just trying to think like in my brain, wrap my brain around how met like 100 men would beat a gorilla. If it was just,
Right.
and then there's obviously the nuances of it of are they trained guys? Are they like 100 Shaquille O'Neals that know how to fight? You know what I mean?
Okay.
Or like 100 little guys that
Okay. Well,
$125.
I think that might be a good place to start because, all men are not created equal. So if you get to pick your lineup and you pick like, all right, well then NFL lineman and then
Yeah.
Francis Ngannou and John
Yeah.
Jones, and then yeah, Shaq, and you get people like that.
Brock Lesnar.
That's very different than like 180-year-old men from a convalescent home. Or if it's just a
Yeah.
random pick, 100 men just from population, then you're getting a bunch of 6-year-olds in there too, and that's a totally different thing.
Yeah, I feel like if you had to choose, a team, then obviously things would be a lot more heavily favored the poly market would probably definitely start to all of a sudden favor the men in that situation. But you still have to think like, okay, regardless of who the people are, like let's say they are, big guys and fighters or whatever, trained people that would kind of know what to do. How are you going to actually beat the gorilla? When I'm
Yeah.
going with that other MMA coaches, or like if we have like a specific problem we're going to go against, sometimes I'm thinking to myself, like some of these guys, and believe me, there's a lot of guys that don't train. At our gym, we're pretty strict with it, but like at other gyms, there are guys that don't train for these MMA fights, especially the local ones. They don't train properly. Or they don't like take jujitsu class 100%. They just kind of roll around and go live, but they never like learn any techniques,
Yeah.
or don't build a skill set. Same with striking. They're like, yeah, I do it a little bit. I just wrestled and I'm a good wrestler and I'll just take the guys down. But then I always pose them the question, like if they're going to fight, like, or if they want to fight, I'm like, how are you going to win? Like, how do you plan on winning? They're like, well, I'll win by knockout. I'm like, well, how many people have you ever knocked out before? Zero. Okay, well, I mean, that's a tough one. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
we have to be like, how are we going to win this fight? Like, are you going to just outbox this guy? Are we going to take his back? Like, what's a vulnerability of a gorilla? I don't know. I mean, punching in
That's
the head. I was watching some gorilla videos earlier. I'm like, damn, I don't know, dude. Their heads are huge. Like, they're like canoe level
thick.
heads.
And they don't have a
Yeah.
neck. Like, I've done jujitsu for a bit, and like the body type that I have the toughest up against, so I'm kind of lanky. I'm 6'3", about 185 pounds. And the body type that I have trouble with are the guys that are like 5'4", 180. Because I'll try and
Yeah.
get on their neck and they don't have a neck. It's like really
Yeah.
hard. Their arms are so short. It's hard to arm around. Like I've been doing too much research on this. like I don't know like how you would even strangle a gorilla. Because getting to it, I think that what would happen is the gorilla has bursts of energy and then it would get tired. So it rips through 30, 40, maybe 50, 60 guys, but then you got 40 guys. And even if it's just exhausted laying on the ground and they're just like punching it, like what are you gonna how are you gonna kill it is a really good point. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one. Like you'd have to like get real street with it and like poke the eyes and like do all that
Okay.
kind of stuff. Like you
So
can't
now
just
it's a
come at it
blind
with.
gorilla, but it's still not dead.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I think with regular humans, right? If you get punched or hit, like you might, most people, even people who don't like really have great pain receptors, if you get hit to the head hard enough or hit to the stomach hard enough, there's nothing. Your body just kind of shuts down. I don't know how gorillas' bodies react to like a kick from a human. It's hard, but like I don't know if like is Boss Rutan in his prime kicking him in the ribs, like. I don't know, like maybe, you know what I mean, a leg kick, but they're not gonna, I don't think animals like that are gonna eat a kick and just fall over from it or be like, oh, my leg, I don't want to go anymore. Like, you know what I mean? They
Yeah.
have that instinct to just keep going till the death. Where like I think some people will quit. You know what I mean? I don't
Yeah.
know though. Is that a possibility too?
I mean, there's that great Onion video where about like how men overestimate their ability to fight by like 4,000%. And you've seen this more than anybody else, just being in
Oh
the
my
martial
God,
arts world your whole life.
it's
Like people
crazy.
really
It's
swear that
crazy.
they can do this
Yeah.
stuff. And it's like, you can't. You get
Yeah,
exhausted
I
too.
used to.
People get
Yeah.
exhausted, like hitting
Yeah.
pads and they hit it for like really hard or whatever. They go into like a massive fight. And then within 30 seconds, they're doubled over, their hands on their knees and they can't breathe. Like,
Yeah. You can't
so
quit in a street fight or you're dead. You know what I mean? So some people will keep fighting. There is that fight or flight where they'll keep going. But once your body hits exhaustion, it's over. I mean, you can't, unless you're like a trained athlete, you're not going to come
yeah.
back from that. Like Random Joe is not going to be able to, deal with that kind of adrenaline dump. You know what I mean?
So
Um,
I think you and I would agree that if it is, we get to pick an all-star team, like the whatever
yeah.
92 dream team or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like we get to pick out all the NFL linemen, Will Fork or whatever that guy was from the Patriots. Like William the Refrigerator Perry in his prime. Like you get them and Boss Rutan and Francis Ngannou. It would be a different thing because they're conditioned and they're massive and they can put their weight on him on the gorilla. But if it's just
Right. Exactly.
random people, they don't know how to throw a punch. And then is it punches? They don't know how to choke. So they have
Yeah.
no idea. I did
Yeah. I
a
think their
little,
biggest problem is engagement. They wouldn't know how to engage them. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like what?
They would just become
Yeah.
punching bags. And even if the gorilla is exhausted, the gorilla can take a nap as they're just like, hitting on it, like playing the drums, and then the gorilla wakes up from the nap and just tears them apart. You know, I was looking at like the size difference, and I have some things here thanks to Chatty Gabby, and
Right.
and I guess the punch force of a gorilla is between 1,300 and 2,700 pounds of force, which that's a big gap, but let's say 2,500 pounds of force, where a human punch is 250 pounds, or I'm sorry, 325 pounds. There's also the grip strength is 10 times. There's a bite force, which the humans aren't going to bite this gorilla. I think that even if you give the humans like even like not even a knife, like a push pin, then they could just like push pin it or something. But they don't have anything to it. But I looked up the size comparison and strength comparison, and it's about the same as like a fit guy versus 8-year-olds. Now the question is like, Zach, for you, and I'm a little bit bigger than you, but like let's say like 6-year-olds for you or 7-year-olds, like could you beat 107-year-olds?
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think you could because I don't know how a 7-year-old would kill you. Even if you were,
Yeah.
sometimes I'm napping and my boys come up and they're like, you know, it's hitting on me. I can sleep fine. Like I don't know how they would kill you.
They would, I don't think they'd be able to. They don't have, they also, obviously, with talking about kids, like, are they kids mentality or are they like, or are they just a bunch of short people? Like if that was the size difference and
Yeah.
they were regular people but smaller, then maybe it
Then
might be a
maybe.
little bit more annoying. Yeah, but I also think there's a factor of, like you just said about the bite strength. Like if you get bit in the arm, it's over. You're out.
Yeah. You have a
Some
broken
people
arm
are not
now.
yeah, you're not going to keep fighting. Um, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I think I would be able to beat all those kids like Kramer and Seinfeld. They're like, you do karate with kids. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think I could like just keep them away and be able to kick them. But then also too, I know how to like throw kicks and stuff. I'm not sure what the gorilla's attacks are. Like it's probably going to be like Donkey Kong
Yeah.
hitting kind of. I've watched a bunch of videos now too. Like I've seen them just like, these people are in like wherever, the Amazon or something. They're trying to get close to these gorillas and they're getting close, but they're like, you could see they're just sitting there, but they're so nervous because it's just like in the
Yeah.
wild right there. Like if you get whatever. And then the one guy, like the tour guide's trying to tell him, like, hey, go to like, move to the side, move to the side. And then the thing just gets up and goes like this. And it was just like, boom, just threw a woman to the
Yeah.
ground and like walked over a guy and was just like, and I was like, okay, that's shit. Like people would be, you
Yeah.
know
I've
what I
seen them
mean?
rip
Like,
down trees, like thick trees, just like
yeah,
nothing. Like they're so
yeah,
strong. So they could just
yeah,
tear through you. I think it's a cardio issue. It's like why
yeah.
the
It might
Diaz
be
brothers, if there were no time limit, would just win. Or why Gordon
fair enough.
Ryan in the jiu-jitsu world loves no time limit because he's really efficient with his energy and he'll just drag you in the deep water and beat you with cardio. And the gorilla doesn't have cardio, where human beings do. So that's an advantage for the people. I think it's the cardiovascular side.
Yeah,
Um,
I think if like if the human side was like, okay, 30 people are just gonna have to go. Just go out there
yeah,
and tire them out and just take one for the team.
yeah.
And then I think after that, yeah, 70 people might be over, just overwhelm it, you
And then
know?
just
So
and
yeah,
then how do you
I'm
see
leaning
it
towards-
ending? Is it like a suffocation smoke, like mother's milk? Like they just like climb on its face and just cover its mouth, and
yeah,
then you have to touch this mouth that has this unbelievable bite strength. So I'm not putting my
yeah,
hand over the gorilla's mouth because all it has to do is just bite down, like even if it's exhausted and breathing heavy.
yeah.
Hope for a heart attack. I mean,
Yeah, I think it would. I think somehow, like not that they would take him out. Maybe just stomping it or something like that, or if they like jacked up its arms or something like that. You know what? Another interesting thing is though.
mm,
I think the car still would play an aspect in this. Is what kind of playing field is it?
yes, yeah,
Like is
yeah, yeah,
it like where they could corner him into a cage? Then obviously that might be a little bit different. You know what I mean? If they
yeah.
tried to do
Compared to like a
like
field where
remember
it can
that
just run
movie
away for a little bit, get some rest.
World War Z or whatever, where the
Yeah.
zombies are like kids and they're like, like, you know what
Hmm.
I mean? They might be able to just run over top of them and just, yeah. So maybe I am on the side of humans now,
Yeah,
just because it's 100 people
it's a
with a
lot of people.
cardio aspect. That's
But
a lot of people.
yeah, I think yeah. So the factor I like that. Yeah, the idea of like of what is it in like a soccer arena? So there's a lot of space, and the gorilla can kind of just like rip through people and then move, and the people have to run up, and then the people get tired. And I think who the people are is really matters. Like I think that the diversity in, and this is something you've seen forever, is like the diversity in human beings and what they're capable of, how trained they are, what kind of shape they're in, how old they are matters a lot. And if it's just a
Yeah.
random sampling, most people, you go to like Disney World or something like that, like most people cannot do anything with their body physically. They have trouble going
Yeah.
up a flight of stairs. You're not going to fight a gorilla.
Yeah.
You're not going to be any use in that fight,
Yeah.
you
You
know?
will just get, yeah. Yeah. Really. I mean, man, I have with new people starting up at the gym all the time. Like, I will say it's a lot of times that people we're getting now are kind of already in shape. We
Yeah.
don't get a lot of
Good.
that many out of people starting up at the gym. It's kind of tough. They want to, oh, bless you, bud. Bless you. My son's making an appearance.
What's up, Lorenzo?
What's up, dude? But yeah, I think they would I think that I don't know why it is now, but more people are just maybe it's more people just thinking like, okay, I am gonna sign up at jiu-jitsu or MMA. Let me get in shape first. Remember the old joke would always like, well, I'm gonna get in shape first,
Yeah.
hold on, bud. Yeah, so I think that's would be I think that's the thing. Like, but because like I think some people that are already out of shape, it's such like a, you know, never-ending process. Like if you don't ever take that first step or you feel like I have to get in shape first, most people won't do that. So they just kind of just never start either working out or going to the gym, and so we get a lot of people that are in shape, but man, when someone starts that doesn't have like good cardio or they smoked cigarettes or they never did anything for a while, man, it really takes them a long time to, kind of get going. Like, whereas like someone like, who's already done a workout, like they kind of already know how to move their body a little bit. So like if it's a random sampling, like the gorilla's winning that all day. I think
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, gorillas just know. Yeah, they know how to move their body. They're still wild in that way, and we've become so domesticated that we just can't. I'm helping a buddy out at his jiu-jitsu gym and teaching. There was a guy there yesterday who I guess wrestled in high school, but since then looks. I mean, he probably gained 150 pounds, like a big guy. And we couldn't. I was teaching him the truck, which is like a jiu-jitsu move, and he couldn't even like bend his legs to the point where like he couldn't roll. And then he within I mean, we did like a sparring round, just trying to get just like movements, and within 30 seconds he was off the mat and he was like gagging. Like, I mean, it happens
Yeah.
so quick, and I think people don't know that. If when was the last time you like sprinted? I saw some statistic about like when you're only whatever 3% of the population after the age of 40 ever like sprints.
Oh yeah.
It's like so small.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. I've been doing, when I have a match coming up or something that I'm training for, like I do sparingly compete. I will run sprints because I know that just kind of like makes you blow out your lungs. Like I could do jujitsu for a while and I could still make myself tired, but just having the ability to, I feel like there's something there too, is like just as a kid running all the time and running around. Now my son like being a maniac and running. I feel like at the drop of a dime, I don't want to just be able to run. Like if I ever needed to run fast, I don't want my legs to just fall apart. Like imagine I was fighting a gorilla. I mean, I'm sure it would obviously run me down, but I want to be able to make moves too. I want to be
Yeah.
able to like, hey, if I need to go somewhere, I need to do something. I want to be able to run. Like let's say someone's in danger. I need to be able to run and catch them. You know what I mean? Like I used to for a while I played slow pitch softball. It was hilarious. And guys would hit the ball and know that they need to run it out. And they would take two steps and ACLs, knees, backs.
Oh,
People would just look like they got shot with a sniper and just go
oh.
down like, oh, you know what I mean? So like the random sampling of people, yeah, not to hate on people, but if they're just not out there, working out or anything like that, like even just working out isn't enough. You would to beat a gorilla, you would have to be some kind of, I feel like trained. Even Shaq though, Shaq's huge. Maybe he could lay on him or like try to fold and that grab his I don't know, like if everyone piled on, but you ever see him fight, Shaq?
Yes, it's pretty
It's
terrible.
not good. It's not
No.
good. I mean, his
LeBron
punches.
James, dude, like super athletes. They don't know how to, they don't know, they start doing punching like a girl. Like they don't know.
Now I did see Shaq roll. Didn't he do a thing where he like went in and rolled,
I saw
with a
him do a
punching bag?
boxing match with Oscar De La Hoya back in the day.
Oh, okay. I don't even remember that. I don't remember that one.
I mean, it looks funny because he's so big, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it would be like in the Braveheart where they're all like charging at the British and they're all running. That's all a bunch of people like grabbing their hamstrings and like falling over and they're exhausted. They can't even lift up their sword. Like that's the difference between the Dark Ages and today. Is just we're just soft. So all of that stuff would need to be a factor. Like numbers is interesting. So take like a Francis Ngannou. I mean, it could, I mean, let's just take a trained person. Like it could be like a Ray Lewis, but who knows jujitsu and knows how to fight. Like how many of you, even as a MMA, fighter and jujitsu black belt, would it take to beat someone like John Jones? It would take many, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Exactly. I'm small, dude. I'm only like, well, right now I'm like 160. You know what I mean? But
that's
like,
pretty big for you,
if I,
right?
yeah, it's probably it's the heaviest I've been in a while. Like, just trying to, I'm just eating whatever I want. I'm getting old, so
Hmm.
I feel like you just put on weight, and I'm lifting and stuff too. And the match that I have is actually at 165.
Oh, wow.
So the guy's a little bigger, but not too much. But one sub only match, 10 pounds is not a big deal. Like if it was like a 10-minute match or something, it'd be a lot harder. But that it's not that much to give up. But like some of the guys that we have in the gym, once, and I've been training forever, and I teach, obviously I teach class and stuff, and some of the guys, like once they get to like blue belt at our gym and they're over like 170, 180, 190, like some the guys athletic, man, it gets really difficult for me to submit them. Like not
Yeah.
just some blue belt, obviously they're just random guys, but there are guys that get really good, and when they're bigger like that, like even 190 is like, dude, like for me to tap them with certain submissions, it's very difficult. That's why leg locks are important, because
Yeah.
like, if I'm rolling with someone who's over 200, guess what? You know what I mean? Like one way I can neutralize them is by putting them in leg locks. But for me to like fight John Jones, I can't leg lock him. You know what I mean? In a fight, like he will kill me. You know what I mean? If I had like, I don't even know how many of us it would need to be. You know what I mean? Because he could just be, because he's so big and long, he'd just be able to just wipe guys out nonstop. You know,
Yeah. My son and I
and
were,
he could.
yeah, my son and I were talking about this. He's like, how many do you think it would take of you to beat John Jones? I was like, I think 10. He's like, really? You wouldn't be like three? I was like, no way, three. I don't even
No,
think
no,
five.
yeah.
I think you'd have to swarm them and just grab them, just like enough people. And I'm like 185. We're about the same height. He's probably like an inch taller. So I'm like even relative height. And I still think it would take enough to really just like swarm,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
that's what you'd have to do. You'd have to swarm them. I've been telling, man, guys will, back in the, it's not so much as bad anymore because MMA's got bigger, and more people know about it. So they kind of see what a real fight is. But still, though, they'll be like, even when I think one of the times while back when we were in Vegas, and some of the high school friends were still like, point out a guy randomly at the bar and be like, you think you could take that guy? I'm like, well, I don't know. He looks huge. And
Yeah.
they're like, so what? You take him? I'm like, bro, that guy is like, who knows? That guy's like, even if he doesn't know how to fight at, 230 pounds,
Yeah.
and he's big, and if he's ever thrown a punch in his life, like, I'm not just going to walk over there just because I have experience. That's only going to help me. And mostly it would be helping me defend myself from getting hurt. Maybe again with that, like, I think the cardio is a thing. Like, when I've done mat like random mat things back in the day, I don't even want to call them matches, but when like I would fight an untrained person that was bigger than me, and we were like boxing in the backyard or something like that,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't try to I wouldn't try to offense them at all. I would just try to, play defense, throw feints, and make them keep moving, and kind of honestly let them beat on me a little bit until they got a little tired. And then it would be like, I feel like I'm Sugar Ray Leonard out there, just like piecing guys up and be able to do whatever you want because they're just like, so exhausted they can't do anything. They took like four hard big punch, misses, and like maybe hit me once and I had to eat one. But and then I would be able to, you'd be able to take them over. That's the only way, But in a bar fight or something like that, it's completely different. Do you think you could take that guy at the craps table there? I'm like, that guy looks massive, dude. What would I
Yeah.
do to him? You know? And if
Yeah.
you
I mean,
mess up one, it's
yeah, in
over.
jujitsu, like we got some guys at John Jocks who's like one guy was like played college balls like a lineman. He's big. He's I don't know, 6'2", 6'3". He's probably like two athletic too. Like two, I don't know, 60. And he rolls really great. When he first time he came in, he's a purple belt now. Like, and he was like, "Hey, you want to roll?" I was like, "Not really, but let's go." And then he rolls great though. Like he's like a great training partner.
Yeah,
Like he rolls control. But I know that at any moment, if he just wanted to start Donkey Kong punching or just like explode out of stuff, like
yeah,
it's just it's a mess. Like size does matter in a fight, and the
yeah.
gorilla would have that. I'm looking up some stuff about like expert opinions. This guy Robert Irwin, Australian conservationist, he said. points out the ethical concerns that needs to be focused on protecting endangered species like gorillas. It's like, what a nerd. Come on, like, where are your
It's a
balls, man? Let's just
hypothetical.
talk about this.
Well, do you remember back in the day where it would always be like, do you think would you let Mike Tyson punch you straight in the face for a
Yeah,
million bucks?
yeah, we
Remember
talked
that
about
was a
that.
big debate amongst guys. Yeah.
Just stand there with your
Your
chin
neck
out.
would, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Everyone said they would take the million though, mostly, right? Most people said that.
Yeah, I think
Um,
so. You just got to you can't tense up because he could hurt you. Like
well, yeah, I
seriously, he
mean, you
could kill
could
you.
be dead.
But you just kind of get jello and just let it go. Have some shots of whiskey beforehand. So
Yeah.
what's our final analysis here? Like, can you break down? Let's just say like you Joe Rogan it. Okay, we're doing it in a soccer field. There's a grill in the middle, and let's just say there's like circle of 100 men, like in like maybe two or three people deep. There's 15, 20 feet between them and the gorilla, but the gorilla's encircled. How do you see it playing out?
Yeah, I think the people, like I said, if people were down to get hurt and they could push through and not be cared about getting killed, then I think they would just have to swarm them, and a couple people are just going to have to go.
And then
And
what
if
do the
they
people do once they
surrounded
get
them,
a? Do they just grab the fur and then what?
I think they would have to, yeah, jump on his neck, grab his head, punch him, poke the eyes, try to, snap his arms. I think they would have to just everybody on him, kick him, whatever needs to be done. I mean, but I think poking of the eyes and all that stuff, I think you could take. I think it'd be tough if everybody's swarming. It'd be tough to stop them. It'd be tough to stop the people. I think the thing would tire out. I think it would kill a bunch of people though,
Yeah,
and maim and injure the people. But I think eventually the people would get the job done now that I'm thinking about it. Because
yeah,
definitely with the cardio situation, it could fight for a while, but a constant swarm of big ass guys, nowhere to run, it's kind
yeah,
of tough, you
yeah.
know?
So if even average, let's say average guys, a random sampling of from like a census of men in this country, ages 18 to let's say like no to 50. Okay, so we don't have elderly in
Nah,
there with their walkers, but
nah.
so then the gorilla goes through 25, 30 guys, and it's like plops down on its butt, and there's still guys just like biting its ear, pulling on its fur, punching it, trying to poke in its eyes, and it's just kind of swatting them away. It's kind of like, do you ever see when the hyenas attack a lion? The lion just
Yeah.
like keeps circling around and keeps swatting away, but then there's just so many hyenas that eventually it just kind of sits there and just like gives
I,
up.
maybe the people could get it done there too, but it still would it might be tough though because if they don't know anything, if they don't know anything, I mean, only thing I could think of is poke to the eyes because like kicking and punching, if
But
they
it won't,
really don't know how to fight or whatever.
yeah, it won't bleed out from it. So it's blind now, but
Yeah.
I roll
What do you
jujitsu with
do
my eyes
then?
closed all the time. Like I don't know, like what happens? What's the death nail? How do you actually kill it? Do you just keep putting your mouth over the hand and you lose a hand? So another guy puts his left hand, then they lose that hand, then the next guy, all right, come on in. They just like just lay on top. You get one of the fat guys that we see at Disneyland just to lay on top of his head.
I mean, they might be able to
Suffocation.
hold them down and put their feet into the guy's neck, like step on it, like Van Damme kicking right into the
Yeah.
throat. You know what I mean? I think people put their feet on their neck. You know what I mean? Try to suffocate them. That's what I would think.
Yeah. So what would the final tally be? How many guys do you think would get lost?
Maybe half,
It's like
give or
50.
take. I think half would be a good, yeah, half would be like a good, medium. Obviously it is. It's obviously the medium, but yeah, I think that would be good because, it could swing either way though. It could be left with 40 people, it could be left with 60 people, you know.
But the guys would actually
It's
get it
tough.
done. I
I
guess,
guess straight up, I think the guys would get it done, but it all does matter. There's a lot of little things that matter. It's not just like a straight up people would get it done. I think there is factors, and just how if like I said, if the people are willing to die, because like if it was just a
yeah.
bunch of
Oh, they
people,
would have
be
to.
like, I'm not doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no
Like
question about that. But
people
I
would
just
quit halfway
how
through.
how it ends is what I'm curious about because when I did some of the math on ChatGPT about it's like me versus 8 year olds. Gray, my 8 year old, I think he's like 48 pounds or something. He's kind of small, like 48 pounds. I don't see how even if I kill 50 children, just take that out and put it on the internet. Even if I kill 50 children, I don't know how
Yeah.
the other 50, if I just curl up in the fetal position and just like, and because I'm exhausted from killing all these kids, like, I don't know how they would actually kill me.
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well,
Like
remember, it's
like when
for
my kids
kids
lay
though.
on me and stuff, it's like it actually feels nice.
Yeah, I know exactly. I always tell Lorenzo to jump on my back as hard as he can.
Yeah, it feels great.
But
Like I
yeah, I
did.
think maybe if it was like 50 like dwarfs or whatever.
Oh,
You
some
know
of
what
those
I
dwarfs
mean?
are. Yeah, I had yeah his last name's Smith. I forget his name now, but I had he's the world's strongest dwarf on the podcast. It's
Oh
unbelievable.
wow,
He
nice.
squats like 600 pounds or something. It's crazy. He does dwarf
He's way
boxing now. He's got hands.
there's a guy, I'll have to send him to you. There's a guy, I'm not sure where he's from, but he's a dwarf, and he trains, and he always puts like Pusha T and like all this stuff to his his like music. And it's like, dude, it's crazy seeing him roll. He's not just like a dude just in there for he's like throwing wild shit. He's
Yeah.
like jumping over guys, doing cartwheels, doing like flips where they can't hold him. You know what I mean? It's
Short
pretty
arms though.
crazy.
How does he
Yeah.
get chokes?
He I don't know how he gets he no he can get his arms enough to do a
He can.
guillotine.
Oh, he
I don't
can.
think I've ever seen an RNC. But I mean, bro, there's been tons of guys that just won't take no for an answer and still train. Guys with, I know one guy who has like MS and his one
Hmm.
arm is kind of like fully functioning. Dude, the guy is a savage. He'll just get his other arm jacked and ankle lock you with the other arm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There are guys that,
Zion Clark.
wheelchairs.
You know about Zion Clark?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Wrestler, right?
Yeah. Or
Is that a wrestler?
Kyle
Yeah.
Maynard was the guy who doesn't have any arms or legs, and he's trained.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guys are like, you know what, dude? I'm still
Climb
getting
Mount
in it. I don't
Everest and
care.
stuff.
Yeah, there was another guy on Instagram. He's Mr. Footloose. He doesn't have down by his ankles. He doesn't have the feet anymore. So he
Oh wow.
just when he's on prosthetics. But dude, he goes in. He has no foot, so you can't really ankle lock him.
That's
But he
interesting.
ankle Yeah. And he's strong as shit. He does CrossFit and stuff too. And I met him at one of the high rollers tournaments out there in I don't know if that one was in Vegas or Cali. I was out there with hanging out with you guys, I think. And then
Yeah.
I stopped by that. Yeah, he like I see him on his Instagram doing pull-ups. He just goes out there and he goes hard for takedowns and everything. And then, he'll put you in 50-50 and you're going for his leg, but it's not there.
Oh
And
yeah.
then he just hooks everybody. He's like, whatever, it's a cheat code. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just
Well,
crack.
yeah, Anthony Robles, the national champion, same thing. Like people are, they're so used to like they drill in wrestling so much, so they're scooping for a single leg and they just scoop in air because there's nothing there. Yeah, I've rolled
Yeah,
with guys
Thor.
with one leg
Yeah,
before. It's tricky.
yeah, yeah, it is tricky. Thor told me a funny story one time when he was wrestling as a kid. There was a kid that he was blind. He was on Thor's team. I think he was on Thor's team, or maybe he was just recanting the story from seeing it on another squad. But and then he said, never forget the kid went up there, and the other kid that he was about to go against has one leg. So
Mm.
the coach goes to him, he put his hand on his shoulder, is like, hey. Just so you know, the kid you're about to face has one leg. And the kid, Thor said the blind kid just out of nowhere goes, cool, which leg?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then they like touch each other, and then right away the guy just shoots, and they're
Yeah.
both, it was, dude, these guys are savages. You can make any excuse you want, but people are just push through it. I don't even know how we got on the topic, but um,
Just like diversity of different body types, because I think we're in agreement. Just to kind of closing this out, like I think that it's what kind of guys matters because men are not created equal, and you know this better than anybody. Grace Gundrum, who now she's older, but even when she was like 16 years old, I mean, she could handily beat grown men. I mean, I was kind of playing around with her. This is when I was like a new purple belt, 2018 or something like that. And I was just like, she's 92 pounds, little Asian girl. I was like, I just kind of put myself a little bit, I was getting a little sloppy and like dug one hand under and she locked up a triangle. And I was like, all right, now let me get out of this. Okay, let me get out of the tap. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, because your technique's razor sharp, like it really makes a difference. But that's it's getting more and more common, but it's not super common. So if you take a random sample of who the people are, that's gonna make I think probably the biggest difference. And then just like we still haven't figured out like how it'll die. But it has to be aligned with some sort of exhaustion and just
yeah,
like the breaking the will of the gorilla.
yeah. I think if everybody leaned on him enough, they could probably suffocate him.
Yeah.
And if there was guys at the end.
Like Eric
So,
Garner, that guy that was killed in Brooklyn with all the cops laying on his back.
Right, exactly. Stuff like that, I think could definitely happen. I know like when I played football and stuff, or like if I have some of the like there are a couple moves in jiu-jitsu where like if you know the ones where like they're like scarf holds where your arm gets in front of
Mhm.
your body, I wraps his arm around, his chest is leaning on your chest,
Yeah.
or like the headlock, like the scarf hold where you get the full headlock and you just have the head, like my guy Thad used to go for that. And when he would lean his body on your chest, I mean, this guy wrestled bulls and shit. Like bulls would come out and he would just grab its head and freaking twist it down. He comes from his family was farmers. Like his dad's was a national champion at Lehigh. So his three
Oh, okay.
sons,
Yeah.
3 or 4 sons, all wrestlers, you know what I mean? And they were all beasts. And Thad, like he would pass your guard and you would be like, oh, I'll get an underhook. He forgot the underhook. I'll take his back. And he would just grab a headlock and just hold you down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would have to try to pull my leg like up in front of his head to try to like get the pressure off. And that for sure, 100% would feel like it feels like you're being suffocated. You know what I mean? Now, I don't know what's ever happened if someone just didn't tap to that and a person put immense amount of pressure on.
That's like
But,
Josh Barnett
I'm
versus Dean Lister, right?
right, exactly. Just
Yeah.
get his head. That's a starfold. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know. I don't remember the Eric Gardner case. Like, but I'm sure if you lean, like, if a bunch of, I mean, some of those cops are fat and stuff. If they,
Hmm.
bunch of people lean on your back and chest and everything, dude, you could just suffocate. Or
Yeah.
you could
That's maybe
just,
the.
and people think, like, how does that even happen? But if you've never done jujitsu where someone's had you in a position when you're first, you don't know how to stay calm and
Hmm.
someone puts you in a, I've had people, you ever see anyone have a freak out at jujitsu for,
Hmm.
being in like they were like almost like confined space and they couldn't get out,
Yeah.
and people just lay on it. Like sometimes even just a lay on it. Like I roll with JT Torres, you know him, JT,
Yeah.
multiple time ADCC champ. Thor is the exact same way, but JT's got the type of pressure that like, if he gets his arm around your head in a crossface, he can turn your face enough this way and lay enough on your chest that you'll just go to sleep. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Now imagine he did that
And
and
he's
never
not
let
even that
go.
big of a guy,
You-
but he just knows what he's
But
doing.
no, he's like probably 170. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? If that, right? Sometimes I don't know, maybe bigger than I don't even think about it. But like, and that look, there are bigger guys that I've rolled with that don't know how to put that type of pressure on,
Yeah.
but they just have this little techniques that they find that's even hard to teach. It's
Yeah.
more of like a feel,
Yeah.
So I do feel like, yeah, now thinking about it, they could probably lean on them enough. Even if like 10 shacks just laid their whole body on you, it would be bad. Like if you ever got caught under a pile at like in football or
Yeah.
anything, like
Yeah.
it was death under there, you know what I mean?
And that's
So
probably
I
how it
could
would end. Okay, so that's probably what it end. So the gorilla goes through 30, 40, 50 guys, and then sits down. The rest of them just lay on top of them, poke them in the eyes, do what they can do. Yeah.
yeah,
What does Lorenzo
heck
think?
yeah. So who do you think would win, a gorilla or people? He's not saying right.
All right, man. Well, just where can people like kind of follow you? You have a match coming up, right?
Yep, I'm competing on Fury grappling in it's on UFC Fight Pass May
Nice.
23rd. So if you got Fight Pass, you can watch it on there. It's in beautiful, luxurious Atlantic City. And then yeah, but anybody if you just yeah, get you some more, bud. And then you could look me up though on Instagram, Big Uncle Zach Maslany. Or you could find me, that's pretty much the main spot. Shoot me a message if you're interested. If you want to debate me more or fight with me in the comments about this, that's fine as well. I'm always debating weird stuff, so for sure hit me up. And then just search anything finishers, finishers MMA, finishers sub only, all that stuff, finishers enterprises. But yeah, man, dude, pumped. I got to get out to
Cool.
California this year. I
Yeah,
got to get
man.
my next black belt because everybody's mad at me. So I got to go see Eddie Bravo. So hopefully I can come out and get
So
some good family time with all you guys.
yeah, family time and also train with Yoda himself. I saw John Jock yesterday. He's the man. So
Well, ask him. What does John Jock think?
I will. I didn't even ask him. Oh, I should have. He
Yeah,
probably,
get him on camera. Just be like, John Jock, can I ask you something?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
my brother, the gorilla. No, I don't know. We'll
He's the
see.
best. All right, man. All right. Well, thanks for jumping on here and doing this. We are gonna have this conversation anyway, so might as well record and put it out on the interwebs. So
Oh
appreciate it,
yeah.
man. Love you, and we'll talk soon. Thanks, guys, for listening and share your thoughts. I don't know. Maybe we missed something.
Yeah, let us know if we missed something. I want to know.
Yeah. All right. All right. Take care. All
Nice.
right.
Peace,
All right.
bro. Love you, man.